And we can now talk of a man who's one of the UK's most respected veterinary surgeons, known to millions as the Supervet in his Channel 4 series.
Now, in a candid new book, Professor Noel Fitzpatrick has opened up about the positive impact animals have had on his life, particularly in difficult times. We'll have an interview with him in just a moment. But first, let's see him in action, shall we? Well, that was Professor Noel Fitzpatrick in his Channel 4 series Supervet, and ahead of the release of his third memoir, I sat down with him for a pretty special interview where he opened up about what inspired him to write such a deeply personal book.
Well, my mother died and my dog died, and I'd got to a point in my career and my life, I'm 54 years of age, I'm 32 years of vet, where I felt that it was really important to tell the truth about where I feel we're at as a veterinary profession, where I feel that we're at a crossroads when technology has got to a certain point, and are we allowing all the animals to have that technology or not? What are the ethics involved with that? I think we're at a real crossroads in medicine, and also I got to a crossroads in my personal life as well, in the sense that I was harbouring a lot of challenges from my childhood that I had seen other people go through. And I felt if somebody in the public eye, if somebody like me who I'd think is on the television, he's a super vet, he's doing all right, he's got it sorted. If those teenagers that are having the troubles that I had see that actually I don't have it all sorted, I'm just a bloke trying to do his best, then it might help them.
OK. Now, you do talk really openly about your mother passing away, about the loss of your dog, as you say. How did you find the process of writing about those things?
Well, the most important thing for me in that context was that every single day in my consulting room, I see life unravel because of our love, which is unconditional, with our dog or our cat. And for me, there's something incredibly pure and special about that in a world full of difficulties. I mean, we live in a difficult world. So I wanted to reflect on what that love meant to me. And it's so profound. I mean, it's hard to put into words the joy you feel when you're cuddling your dog or cuddling your cat. It's hard to put into words because it's so unconditional. They don't judge us. And we live in a world of judgment. So for me, going through that was very beautiful, that bit of the book, because I could rejoice in the love that I feel for Kira, my dog who has now passed, and the two cats I'm lucky enough to have in my life, Ricochet and Excalibur, who are beautiful Maine Coons. And I don't like leaving them. I rejoice in coming back. And I think if somebody can tap into that, it's a real elixir of joy in life. And I wanted to try and relay that to people in the book and reflect on that joy.
You know what, I think so many animal owners will relate to exactly that. And you've titled the book, haven't you, How Animals Make Us the Best We Can Be. And you talk there about the support and the comfort they provide. How has that sort of manifested with you, with your late dog and the cats that you have, and also, of course, all the animals that you treat as well?
Well, I've seen time and again, and I've purposely focused in the book on several stories of how animals really help people's lives. To go to two extremes, the Queen, on the one hand...
Oh, you met the Queen,
God
didn't you?
bless her. Yes, I talk about that because it was like having a chat with your nan. I thought I was going to turn up to a luncheon with 200 people, and there was only 8 of us. So just sitting beside her, having a chat, and you know, talking about the corgis and her horse and her love of animals. And it was so human and so connecting. And then from that to an ordinary person who's having a difficult day. And I say ordinary in the most extraordinary sense. So I talk about a young lady called Tess in one of the chapters who has a bond with a dog called Olive. I changed their names because she had had a tough time in her youth similar to what I had. And in between those two extremes where people think, oh, well, they're two very different scenarios. They're not. It's just the love of an animal that joins them together. And this book is a rejoicing in that through all of its tragedy and through all of its magnificence. No matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, no matter what race, creed, colour, gender you are. And this book reflects all of that. I really think it's a very important book, if I say so myself, because it's the third one I've written and I wouldn't have stayed up all night writing it when I have a day job as a vet. I have author envy of those people who can. If I didn't feel it was going to be meaningful. I think it's really important because it does three things. It lays out where we're at as a profession and about ethics and about money and all of that stuff and where we're going and what I think is the right thing to do. It lays out how people love their animals so much and how important that currency is in the world. And most importantly, it's a book about truth. For anybody who's going through a tough time reading this book, I hope will give them light.
And on that last point, truth, this was really the reason, wasn't it, behind writing the book? And you've dedicated a chapter to the problems that you have brought up in your childhood. Why did you decide to do this? This is the first time you've done this. Explain exactly what happened and why you needed to write about it.
Yeah, so this is a tough one. This is a chapter called Openness. And I sustained prolonged sexual abuse as a child. And I had been running from that spectre all my life. And I had met a few other people in a similar situation. I know this may be traumatizing for some people watching this. And I say that as a disclaimer at the start of the chapter, but I think it's critically important, including for the girl Tess, who I've changed the name of that I've just mentioned. She went through the same thing. So having met those people and seen the consequences of that and having identified within myself a darkness that I have sublimated for 40 years, animals became my best friends because I didn't trust humans. So I felt very strongly that if I could not be truthful and honest and have integrity and authenticity about that thing that I could never speak about, coming from a very religious background in Ireland, into the wonderment of the United Kingdom and being able to achieve my dreams and everybody thinking you have it all sorted out. If you say, look, I do not have it all sorted out. I'm just trying to do my best. We all have some issues we need to cope with. We're in it together, and I will hold your hand or I will hold your paw. And in that holding, there is a comfort. So that's why I told the story, and that's why I've chosen to be raw, because I think it's only through our vulnerability that we can possibly achieve our strength.
Noel, do you feel that the darkness you speak of has lifted for you?
That's a very kind and generous question, thank you. The truth is, you can come on a program like this and say, sure, everything's great. Things are rarely as they appear on the surface for anybody, no matter what they may say on a program. The answer is every day you wake up, you seek the light, you try to bring the light. And in so doing, I found a great deal of comfort with the animals down through the years, and identifying the people in my life that were real friends. Back to the wall, who's going to be there? As is evident in the world we live in today with the war in Ukraine and constantly changing politics, etc., etc., etc. The word of the morning this week is stability. How do you, in politics or anything, how do you achieve stability in your life? The answer to that question is you let the light in. So I'm trying to do that every day. It's a constant evolving process, and I'm okay, you know, because writing this book has been a real help to me, and I'm hoping it'll be a real help to everyone who reads it. I really think it's important, and I'm not just saying that as I would to somebody who is, I'm holding their dog and I have to make a life or death decision. I'm saying it in that context. I'm holding my little book, I'm offering it to you as light. I hope that you will see it as such, and I hope that together we can find a way out of darkness on those dark days.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for your honesty. Well, if you have been affected by anything you've seen today, anything raised in that interview, you can always find help. You can find support. It's at bbc.co.uk/action line. That's the BBC Action Line.
and Noel's new book. It's called Beyond Supervet. He's on tour around the UK as well. It's called An Evening with Noel Fitzpatrick, and it starts in Belfast Waterfront Hall at the end of this month.